new ski clothes. Beezus wondered aloud if Michael would ask Aunt Bee to marry him. Aunt Bee laughed at that, saying she had known him only 2 weeks. But since this was January, there were several months of skiing left, and there was no telling what might happen. No more was said about Howie's uncle that evening. Days went by. Uncle Hobart didn't come and didn't come. Every evening Mr. Quimby asked, "Has old Moneybags arrived?" And Ramona had to say no. Finally, one morning, as Ramona and Howie were waiting for the school bus, Ramona said, "I don't think you have a rich uncle at all. I think you made him up." Howie said he did too have a rich uncle. Even little Willa Jean, when Ramona went to the camps after school, talked about Uncle Hobart and the presents he was bringing. Ramona informed Howie and Willa Jean rather crossly that her mother said it wasn't nice to talk about other people's money. They paid no attention. After all, he was their very own uncle, not Ramona's, and went right on talking about Uncle Hobart this and Uncle Hobart that. Uncle Hobart had landed in New York. He'd actually telephoned live and in person. Uncle Hobart was driving across the country. Uncle Hobart was delayed by a storm in the Rockies. Ramona wished she had never heard of Uncle Hobart. Then, one day after school, Ramona and Howie saw a muddy van parked on the camp's driveway. "It's Uncle Hobart!" Howie shouted and began to run. Ramona took her time. Somehow, she had expected Uncle Hobart to arrive in a long black limousine, not a muddy van. She followed Howie into the house, where the famous uncle turned out to be a medium young man who had not shaved for several days, and who was wearing old jeans and a faded T-shirt. He was holding Willa Jean on his lap. The warm, sweet smell of apple pie filled the air. "Down you go, doll," said Uncle Hobart, lifting Willa Jean to the floor and grabbing Howie in a bear hug. "How's my favorite nephew?" he asked, and held Howie off to look at him while Mrs. Kemp hovered and Willa Jean embraced her Uncle Hobart's knee. Ramona was embarrassed. She felt she was in the way because she was not related. She sat down on a chair, opened a book, but did not read. She studied Uncle Hobart, who didn't look rich to her. He looked like a plain man, a big disappointment. Willa Jean let go of her uncle's knee. "See what Uncle Hobart brought us," she said, and pointed to a pair of objects that looked like 2 small sawhorses, each holding a red leather cushion. Willa Jean sat astride one. "Get it have you, old camel," she said, and informed Ramona. "This is my camel saddle." "Hey, a camel saddle," said Howie when he saw his present. He imitated Willa Jean. After a few more giddy-ups, there was nothing more to do with the camel saddle, except sit on it. "Pooh! Who wants a boring old camel saddle?" Ramona wanted to say, at the same time wishing she had a saddle to sit on these winter days when she liked to read by the furnace outlet. Finally, Uncle Hobart noticed Ramona. "Well, who's this young lady?" he asked. "Howie, you didn't tell me you had a girlfriend." Both Ramona and Howie turned red and somehow felt ashamed. That's just old Ramona," Howie muttered. To Ramona's horror, Uncle Hobart began to strum an imaginary guitar and sang, "Ramona, I hear the mission bells above. Ramona, they're ringing out our song of love. I press you, caress you, and bless the day you taught me to care." Ramona knew right then that she did not like Uncle Hobart and never would. She had heard that song before. When Grandpa Day lived in Portland, he used to sing it to tease her, too. "I'm not Howie's girlfriend," she said in her most grown-up manner. "I have to stay here until my mother is through work. It is," could she get the words out right, "strictly a business arrangement." Uncle Hobart found this very funny, which made Ramona dislike him even more. "Cut it out, Uncle Hobart," said Howie, a remark much appreciated by Ramona, who pretended to read her book while inside she churned with anger. She was glad she didn't have an Uncle Hobart. She was glad she didn't have any uncles at all, just Aunt Beatrice, who never embarrassed children and who always came when the family needed her. "Did you bring us any more presents?" asked Willa Jean. "Willa Jean, that isn't nice," said Mrs. Kemp, smiling because she was so happy to have her youngest son home at last. "Willa Jean, how'd you guess?" asked Uncle Hobart. "Come on out to the van and I'll show you." "Me too?" Howie quickly forgot his annoyance. "Sure." As he went out the door, Uncle Hobart said, "It's great to be back in a country full of green grass and trees." Ramona heard Howie ask, "What do camels eat if there isn't any grass?" When they returned, Ramona lost her struggle to be interested in her book. Uncle Hobart was carrying a small accordion. "Grandma, look!" Howie was wheeling what appeared